everybody, it's Mike Frieder here with On-Call Compliance Solutions, and I'm back with another compliance tip of the week. Today we're talking about DFARS, NIST SP 800-171, and CMMC. Can I use multiple SIEM solutions to get compliant and pass CMMC certification or a NIST SP 800-171 DIBCAC high audit? Let's find out. So hey, if you're a defense contractor who's feeling overwhelmed, tired, and alone, trying to understand all of this DFARS, NIST SP 800-171, and CMMC compliance stuff, I've got great news for you. You found your home here at On-Call Compliance Solutions, where we can help you transform into your company's on-call compliance hero. Let's go. So today we are going to talk about a question that we received in the comments of one of our other YouTube videos. And one, thanks so much for those questions. We love answering them. And two, definitely drop comments below, because if you've got questions about compliance, we would love to answer them. You know, whether it's you jumping on the phone with us and one of our certified compliance experts, or maybe we just do a YouTube video like this. So comments really help us out and definitely give us direction on what you guys care about. You know, this one got our heads scratching a little bit, and we had to do a little bit of research because, you know, we hadn't really thought about this one before. It was sort of one of those questions where we just kind of assumed one thing, and then somebody asked the question, we go, you know, maybe we ought to check on that. So again, sometimes these questions do get our head scratching too. Not because, I have lice, because luckily right now I don't, but because even today, with all of the years of experience in audits that we have been through, the reality is there are many questions that still pop up that we have just never had to contemplate before until an audit rolls around. So in NIST SP 800-171 and CMMC, the question is, can I use multiple SIEM solutions to get compliant and pass CMMC certification? And there's some really nuanced verbiage in some of the controls that would really have you asking this question. Well, as it turns out, this is a very interesting question. Many of us are running multiple solutions which create, aggregate, analyze, and alert based on the logs of our systems. However, for many organizations, especially large ones with diverse environments, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to have just one SIEM solution that fits all systems that you are managing and monitoring. As an example, we often leverage one SIEM solution for computers and another SIEM solution for the Azure government environment. Why, you may ask? Well, for one thing, it is a significant cost difference between Azure Sentinel SIEM monitoring, a Microsoft environment, where storage is basically more or less kind of free, or very inexpensive because it's native Microsoft, versus regular desktop computers. Additionally, we have come to love other SIEM solutions for regular computers that we simply prefer due to the ease of use. In other examples, some SIEM solutions come tied to a SOC, or a Security Operations Center, which can automatically respond or assist in response and diagnosis, but may be limited to some of your systems or environments, but not all of them. So the good news is that in NIST SP 800-171, it does not prohibit the use of multiple SIEM or security information and event management solutions. In fact, using multiple SIEM solutions can actually be part of a robust security strategy, depending upon your organization's needs. However, there are considerations to ensure compliance with NIST SP 800-171 to make sure that the requirements maintain efficiency and security during the process. So under NIST SP 800-171, you are not explicitly required to aggregate all logs from multiple SIEM solutions into a centralized repository. That is not a requirement that exists. However, the controls do require effective monitoring, review, and incident response capabilities, which can be achieved in different ways. Using a central ticketing system for alert review from multiple SIEMs is an acceptable approach. So if you think about it, you're using one SIEM solution for your desktops and one SIEM solution, let's say for an Azure government environment or some other environment. Well, you've got to aggregate logs. There is definitely an assessment point that talks about that. But it doesn't say that you only must have one centralized aggregation of all logs in the organization. That requirement does not exist, and nowhere is it stated. It just says you have to aggregate logs. So to me, it makes perfect sense that you can definitely have multiple aggregations going on, as long as at a certain point you can show an assessor, hey, listen, this is how we do things. Even if it's manual, this is how we do things, and you have it written in documentation. So maybe the written documentation part might even be more important than the actual solutions you're using, because written documentation allows you to demonstrate to an assessor the actual process that you're doing. And of course, make it make sense to everybody involved. Here are some key points. You must ensure that logs are created, stored, and protected, but not necessarily aggregated. Now, here's another one that tripped us out. Here's a freebie for you. Make sure nobody can go delete those logs voluntarily. So the logs should be, kept for a certain amount of time, and it is critical. Again, we've watched it be dinged on an audit if somebody can just walk in there and delete the logs. That's not the point of the solution. So you have to protect those logs. Logs must provide traceability regardless of whether they are stored centrally or across multiple systems. The review process can be centralized or decentralized as long as all logs are reviewed consistently and promptly. And alerts must be reliable, whether they originate from a centralized system or multiple sources. And finally, your incident response plan should specify how alerts are reviewed and acted upon, which can involve a general ticketing system. So for instance, you might say that you have your SIEM solution set up to send alerts for urgent matters to your ticketing system for immediate response. But then you also definitely need something in your documentation, we'll call it a SIEM monitoring standard operating procedure, that says once a week, you've got a security person who's going to go in and actually monitor those logs and look and see what's going on, even if it's not an emergency. That's the part that I think can fail a lot of people on their audit. And, SIEM is obviously a massive part of NIST SP 800-171 and CMMC. So mega hint, and if you're a small to mid-sized company, this is really where outsourcing makes a lot of sense. Hey, we can help with that. So what we recommend is if you're using multiple SIEM solutions, you need to create documentation and standard operating procedures demonstrating how your team is actively monitoring logs on each different SIEM solution in order to meet the controls. Then you can also demonstrate that those SIEM systems are centralizing alerts into your ticketing system. For sure, this is how we would recommend handling a situation when it comes to most complex environments where it's just easier and even sometimes less expensive to run multiple solutions. And if you're struggling with this, or you're banging your head against the wall, or if you're thinking to yourself, man, I'm way too small to deal with this stuff, hey, no problem, guys, because at On Call, we take defense contractors just like you who've had this DFARS, NIST, CMMC, ITAR, and EAR information security compliance stuff dropped into their laps like a seagull on a sunny day. And we teach you how to level up and be a proper on-call compliance hero for your company, eliminating gaps, gray areas, and getting this solved, all while showing you how to leverage compliance as your secret weapon to land more defense work with higher profit margins. Now that's what becoming an on-call compliance hero can do for you. If you're looking for more help getting compliant, our compliance experts are always on call for you. Visit CMMCComplianceSecrets.com. That's CMMCComplianceSecrets.com, or check out the description below for links to get help right now. And if you love the content we're putting out here for you, help us out with a big thumbs up on that like button, or even better, smash the subscribe button, leave us a comment, let us know what your questions are. We'll be happy to see if we can't get to answering them in maybe our next YouTube video. So until the next compliance tip, my friends, stay safe and secure out there. Hit us in the comments below to let us know what you'd like to know more about when it comes to information security and compliance, and I'll see you on the next one.